Okay. So in the last session, what we did, we created standard invoice. Of course, few setups we completed, right? So the last session we created bank. When you say bank, we created bank branch, bank account, and payments payables documents, or say payment documents, nothing but checks. And we created payment process profile, and we opened the payables periods, and we just tested. I mean, we have seen the process, how to create the invoice, and what is the meaning of validation. To do the validation, where we have to enable the controls, right? So where we have to set that option in payable options, under invoicing tab, we have one checkbox called as allow online validation. If you enable the checkbox, then you'll be able to validate the invoice which is specific to particular operating unit. We're enabling that option at OU level, payable option specific to OU, and we tested how to create the payment. After that, for invoice and payment, we created accounting entries. The same we reviewed, right? How accountings are generated, from where system is taking the debit entry and the credit entry. These points also we discussed in yesterday's session. Okay. In today's session, what we'll do is just its basic understanding. Here, when we are creating the stand invoice, we created a stand invoice without any distribution set, right? We gone through the process how to create the manual invoice, or call it as standalone invoice without distribution set. In further classes, we'll understand how to create the invoice with distribution set, and there are many other options also. Another point is the real time when we are working, don't think invoices will be created in the same way. How we created straight away, we created invoice in payables. That generally we call as standalone invoice or manual invoice creation. But if you are going to create invoice directly in the payables, what is the control? Where is the control? You got invoice from supplier. Based on that information, you are entering into the system. You are not checking with the purchasing department related to purchase order or receipt, say GRL. There should be some control in the system when we are entering payables. Sorry. When payables accountant or payables user is going to work on accounts payable application to create the invoice, they should have a control. Blindly, they should not enter what are the invoices they get from supplier. There should be some checking, right? Cross checking functionality, or there should be some control when we are entering the invoices. That is the reason what happens is when we are entering the invoices in the real time, when we are working the real time process, most of the invoices will be created based on purchase order or receipt. For that, we have a two-way, three-way, four-way matching we'll be discussing. But simple point here is directly we are not going to enter any invoice in the payables. Most of the invoices will be created based on the reference of the PO or receipt or inspection related information only. But very rare cases will be entering the invoice directly in the payables. I'm not saying we never enter, yes, we'll be entering, but very rare cases where really they don't need PO or receipt information for just a proper validation purpose. If they don't need, they can enter it. But most of the invoices will be created based on the purchase department, what are the information they'll provide. Okay, so to start with that process, we'll try to understand few points which are kept on hold status. We discussed, right? We discussed about receipt routing methods when we are doing the setups for purchasing, right? I told you to take the point called as receipt routing methods. What are the receipt routing methods we have? Standard receipt, direct, and inspection required. Okay, inspection required. These three we call as receipt routing methods. And other point, what we noted for discussion, matchings. Sorry, matching options. How many matching options we have? Three, right? Those are two-way matching and three-way matching and four-way matching. Okay, now see, because we are going to work on P2P cycle. When you are working on P2P cycle, you should understand this receipt routing methods. And when we are going to create invoice in the payables based on PO or receipt or inspection related information, you should know how these matching options will work. And anyway, we are going to work on P2P cycle. For that, just you can make a note. Basically, we have four type of purchase orders. We are not going to work on all type of purchase orders. Just for information, in our process and testing, we'll be using the standard purchase order. But other purchase order, what is the purpose? Let's try to have some information since we are just touching this purchasing application also. Okay, so just make a note, purchase order types. Standard purchase order, blanket purchase agreement, and plan purchase agreement, contract purchase order. There are the four type of purchase orders we have. And we have two type of requisitions. Yes, requisition types. We have purchase requisition and internal requisition. Why we should understand all those? Because we are not going to work on purchasing, right? We are not going to work on purchasing, but yes, we are not going to work on purchasing, but we are going to work on payables. Payables has very tight integration with purchasing. The total flow will come from purchasing to payables. Since there is integration, the connectivity, only we call as generally integration. If two modules, if the data is flowing from one application to another application, that happens because of the connectivity between the two applications. The connectivity only generally we call as per application integration. So you can say the integration who built? Oracle built. Oracle built that integration. Whatever correction integration Oracle built, that we call as inbuilt integration. Inbuilt integration. Okay, that means that is there as a part of product only. We are not doing that. That we call as inbuilt integration. Okay. So when I talk about purchasing and payables, there is inbuilt integration. Because of that, we can have some communication between purchasing and payables application. So since we are going to work on payables, at least you should understand this basic terms, how this works in the system environment. So when I talk about purchase orders, when you are working real time, that this task will be done by purchasing consultant. The purchasing consultant will take the responsibility of doing the relevant setups, okay, purchasing related setups, and presenting to the what is the standard purchase order, blanket, planned, contract purchase order to the procurement team, okay, users. But we never involve in that. But when we are just giving the presentation to the client, sometimes just at least you have to show the basic flow of the P2P. At that time, if you understand these points, that will help you. So that would be enough. But we are not going to work on all these purchase orders. Once you start working on all these, again our course will turn into SEM also. But we are not planning to do SEM and all. Okay, just it's all about financials. But let's try to acquire basic knowledge which is required from other applications also when we are working on financial applications. That's all. So with that expectation, we are going to understand these points. Anyway, matching options we should understand thoroughly. Okay, because based on this only invoices will be created in payables. And this is also purely related to PO and receipt inventory related process. Anyway, we'll understand. Okay, first we'll try to understand this standard receipt. Okay, receipt routing methods. By seeing that, what you can understand, receipt routing method. Receipt is nothing but receiving. Whatever you receive will record as a receipt, right? So receipt routing method means when company is purchasing something, what is the routing method? What is the approach they are following to take that material into inventory or organization? That only we call as receipt routing. So talks about how organization will be receiving the material into the respective location or organization or say inventory. So take simple example. Say there is a company called as A. What generally they do is they'll purchase something from the supplier. Okay, directly they'll be placing in the inventory, because say they have big godown or big warehouse. They'll buy something directly. The vehicle will just go into that space and they'll just dump the material in the inventory. That means directly they are receiving, right? That is one organization approach. If you take organization B, they may have approach, or else organization A only have some different approach for different items. Say they'll receive the material and they'll be storing in one place, temporary purpose. Later they'll be moving that material to the respective inventory. Okay, the other organization or same organization for a different item, the approach could be first they'll receive into their organization, they'll be placing in the temporary place. Then what they do, they'll do the inspection, they'll conduct the inspection. If quality is okay or no damage, then they may take into inventory. If there is some damage, then immediately they can return to the supplier, or else the damaged item they may store in the separate inventory to return to supplier after some time, right? If you take these three examples, what difference you can see? In first scenario, directly will receive the material into targeted location, generally inventory, or you may call it sub inventory for understanding. Finally, like inventory, items will be storing in the sub inventory. As per our system, the reality client may not have sub inventory, but as per system, to manage the items, you should maintain the sub inventory. As per system, sub inventory mandatory. If they have in the business, we'll create accordingly. Even if they don't have in their business sub inventory concept, still the same inventory you have to create as a sub inventory. Then only you can store the items in the our system as a part of inventory management. Clear, right? So the first approach is we may get material directly into our inventory or say sub inventory, anything, any term is fine here just to understand. And second approach, first we'll receive the material into some temporary location, and that is the first step. First step will take into the temporary location. Second step is from there you will be moving into the targeted location, say inventory or sub inventory. Two steps. Other approach, first we'll receive the material into temporary location, and first step, that is first step. Second step is we will conduct the inspection. Done. After inspection, we'll come to know which we have to accept, which we have to reject. Do we conduct inspection for all which we receive? Don't say some dummy answers. My question you try to understand. Do we conduct inspection whatever we buy? We are some company. I mean to say we in the sense take as a company. Do we conduct inspection for everything what we buy?
Yes.
Who or no? Oh, anyone? Yes? Not required. For all items you no need to conduct inspection. For which kind of items inspection is required, we'll do the inspection for that only. For everything we don't do any inspection. Okay. If I'm going to buy iron and all, I may not inspect it. I'll be buying with some brand and all, I should take as it is. I'll be buying some cement. I don't conduct any inspection again, because just I am buying directly from vendor and I know the quality and all. Again, I don't need to do inspection. Okay. I'll be buying something else. Okay. There could be chance where that can get damaged in the transportation channel within the transportation period, or else there may be some defects in the products when you receive, that you have to verify. If it is okay, then you'll be accepting, otherwise you'll be rejecting. Okay, say for example you just purchased one laptop. Okay, it has to come all the ways from very long distance and you reached. Okay, or else you give an order in that e-commerce gateway, e-commerce web applications on online e-commerce site. So you got one product. What you'll do without opening that seal and all? Are you going to pay certain products? No, right? You will just verify and you will see, and if it is fine, then only will be paying. That is, but everything you are not going to inspect. So wherever inspection, for which kind of items inspection is required, for those items only will be inspected. Which we don't want to, which items we no need to inspect, those you will be taking in the two steps process. Receive into temporary location, then place into inventory. For which items inspection is required, three steps: receive, inspect, and move into inventory. So based on these approaches, these receipt routing methods will be used. If any company is going to receive the material directly into inventory, that process we call as standard receipt routing method. Okay, if company is going to take material into Temporary place. Temporary place we discussed on term. What is that? O2C cycle we discussed. Temporary location. If you are not preparing, you cannot answer today after mark. Staging area. Okay. Answer should come immediately, not after some time. Okay. So staging area, not sub-inventory. Somebody is saying sub-inventory. Okay, staging area. That means the first case, when I talk about what do you mean by standard receipt? The process of receiving the material directly to inventory we call as standard receipt routing method. And when you talk about direct delivery, direct delivery means that. Direct delivery means, okay, directly will receive the material into inventory. That process we call as direct delivery. When you talk about standard receipt, I'm sorry because this is the first I explained and I just on the fly I given that term. No, not correct. So direct delivery means we'll receive the material directly into inventory. That process we call as direct delivery. Standard receipt routing method means we'll receive the material first into staging. First step, again as the second step, we'll move the material from the staging to respective inventory. Again, it can be sub or inventory or inventory, whatever it may be you call. So we'll be placing into right inventory. Say I received material. I received 10 type of material. I have 10 sub inventories. Think. First stage, I cannot take all into one inventory, right? I have to take into staging. Then I'll be planning which material or which item I have to place in which is sub inventory. That is second step. So that process we call as standard receipt routing method. In standard receipt routing method, what we do? First, we'll receive the material into staging area. From there, we'll be moving into respective inventory. That's it. 2 steps process. When you say inspection required, for which items inspection required, there will do additional activity called as inspection. When you compare with the standard receipt, same process. Apart from that, we'll be having one additional activity called as inspection before we place the material into inventory. In case of inspection required, what happens? 3 steps process. First, we'll receive the material into staging. Then we'll conduct the inspection. The result of inspection will accept or reject. Will be specifying there. Then accepted item will be placing into the inventory. 3 steps process. So purely it will happen in the procurement process between purchasing and inventory. But we are going to test that P2P cycle. For that reason, we should aware of this when we are going to do that. How if some client is going to use, they don't need inspection, they don't want to follow different process where they'll take into staging. In that case, which routing method we have to suggest?
Standard receipt.
If you don't understand, standard receipt. If you understand, inspection. What I said? I said if client is not going to receive into staging and they are not going to place in that case what they don't have any like staging and all, directly they'll be taking into inventory. In that case we have to recommend the method as a direct delivery. If client don't need inspection, then standard. If they need inspection, this is the routing method we have to suggest. But in the system point will be setting. We can set and we can change also how for each and every purchase order, how that purchase order related process will work in terms of receipt and the rest of process. But everything how that has to be routed, that we can specify accordingly. System will have a control and it will be just enabling the same process in the system. Okay, you are clear on that, right?
Yes.
Simple. Receipt routing methods are 3: standard, direct, and inspection required. Standard means we'll receive the material into staging. From there, we'll move into the inventory. That kind of approach, if any client is following, for them, we'll be setting this. Or may not be for entire client. One client can go with all the processes, but that is applicable for which purchase order accordingly will be setting. But entire organization point of view, which is the primary method they are using, that you can set as a default. Every time that only will be defaulted when you are creating PO. If you want to change, you can change it based on the PO which you are creating, which process that is going to be involved in terms of procurement. Okay, that's next one is matching option, please. So matching options. See, you just if you are coming by 10:30, what you can understand, please. I'm just telling class is 10 o'clock. If you think if you are finding class as 10 o'clock, then if you are getting late in the sense you think class is 9:30, come by half an hour late. Can be here late by just 30 minutes, then you will be on time at least. Please try to implement. Just not only you, I'm finding a few other guys also who will be coming always late. But I don't see you late all the time. Maybe I think today. Okay, please. Fine. Matching options. What is the meaning of this matching options? We have 2-way, 3-way, 4-way, right? So what happens is supplier will be giving the invoice. Supplier will be giving the invoice to us. that you may receive through mail, or you may get the hard copy. It can be soft copy or hard copy, whatever the approach. That is secondary thing, we need to focus on that. We'll get invoice from the supplier. Okay, we'll get invoice. The same invoice information we have to enter in the payables application. When we get invoice from the supplier, we'll select the invoice type as a standard, and who is the supplier as per invoice, supplier name, supplier site, and what is the amount we have in the invoice. Okay, what is the amount we have in the invoice? That invoice amount will be entering, and what is the invoice number will be entering, and what are the payment terms we have to enter, and what are the distribution, etc., we have to enter everything, right? If you are going to enter everything in the system, okay, system will be accepting, then you have to make the payment. But whatever you are entering, it may be wrong information sometimes. Say for example, you purchase for 10,000 rupees, but by mistake supplier given invoice by adding one more zero, just one more zero, it will be 1 lakh. Big difference, right? But if you are entering directly in the system, well, system will understand you have to enter 10,000, but you are entering 1 lakh. No, system cannot understand. Whatever you enter, it will accept. That's it. So that is the reason there is no control in the system. So that is the reason what we have to do is, when you are entering invoice, you have to cross check with your purchase order receipt information. Okay. So what we'll do is, when we are creating invoice and payables, we have to verify our invoice information with the purchase order information or receipt, or else purchase order receipt and inspection, how much we accepted. That depends. That will be discussed in detail now. The simple point what I am trying to say is, we should not create invoice directly without cross checking with the PO or GRN or inspection, depending on the scenario. Okay. So we'll get invoice from the supplier. Based on that, we have to enter some basic information in the payables, but not complete information. What is the invoice number? This invoice is against which purchase order? That information we can enter in the payables. But when you are going to create invoice in the payables, before that you have to check with the other documents. The document can be purchase order, receipt, or inspection related document, anything. First we'll talk about two-way matching. In two-way matching, what happens is very simple. Invoice will be creating based on purchase order information. Just make a note, I'll explain detail. Okay. In two-way matching, what we do? We'll create the invoice based on purchase order information, not the PO, GR and something else. Somebody is saying. I'm not saying that. Okay, in two-way matching, we create invoice based on purchase order information. Two-way matching, what we'll do? We'll have a one side supplier invoice, other side will have a which purchase order? Which purchase order? Supplier purchase order, our purchase order. Our purchase order only will become supplier purchase, will be placed into supplier. Our purchase order, which is there in our purchasing department. Okay, I got invoice from the supplier. Okay, I got invoice from supplier. So supplier invoice is, supplier name is ABC, site is, say site 1, supplier site, invoice number is XYG. Okay, or else 123 or so 1111 something else. Okay, this is invoice number, and invoice says the quantity is 100 quantity, price is okay 100 rupees each quantity price, and this is how I have information. Or else the total amount they given 10,000, invoice amount is 10,000, the details they given, quantity is 100, price is 100. Now what I have to do is, in the system I can enter the, and again it's a very important thing, they will be giving the PO number also. PO number say 1. This is how I will get invoice from the supplier. What I'll do is, in the payables, when I'm creating the invoice, I'll give who is the supplier, and I'll give the, so no, I'm sorry, when you are entering in the system, normal process will be entering everything, but when you are creating invoice with the two-way matching, simply what I'll do is, I'll go and give the PO number. When I give the PO number, The PO already existed in payables, purchasing, right? Once I give the PO number, what system will do is, with this PO number, within this PO number, who is the supplier and what is the supplier site, it will copy the information to payables. Because there is a connectivity between payables and purchasing. Because of that connectivity, information which is there in the purchasing, that is coming to payables. The integration we call, that is a great advantage of ERP. In the ERP systems, that is a great advantage. The multiple systems can talk each other. Now purchasing is interacting with AP, right, to share the information. Other side, you can say AP is requesting purchasing to give some data, right, for communication. So when you are creating invoice in the payables, we'll be providing the PO number. Based on that, supplier and site information will be copied. Now in your whatever the invoice you got from the supplier, on that what number you have, you can enter, and what is the amount whatever you have in that invoice will be entering. But you are not going to enter this quantity and price in the invoice which you are creating. So after entering this PO information, you have to say match. You have to say check. That means check with the PO. As per PO, how much quantity and price we have. If that is that only, it will be copied to invoice as lines. Header level we enter 10,000, right? As per supplier invoice. But when I match this invoice with the PO, my PO information, the amount which I am getting 9,000 only. That means line information will be 9,000. The line information only will be defaulted as a distribution information with the one or multiple accounts. So now in the case, header information we are entering, line information we are getting from PO. The same equal, the line information will get defaulted as distribution. Now header amount is 10,000, line and distribution amount is 9,000. Can you validate this invoice? So this is how you can find the mistakes. Now when you try to create it, system will create in this way. Now if you try to validate, it cannot be valid. Now you can understand, okay, as per our PO, we have to pay only 9,000, but supplier given invoice 10,000. Now what generally accountant will do? Sorry? Yeah, any answer is correct now. What generally accountants will be doing in the company in this scenario? Then they can go and speak to the manager or somebody saying that this is invoice we received from supplier. When I cross check with our PO says this is a 9,000 only, but as per the invoice 10,000. They'll check it. Otherwise, if the accountant is knowledgeable person in the process or in that procurement or purchasing and all, directly the person can make again depending on company, which company or what process they are following, the person can give a call to the supplier saying that I received so and so invoice. Which invoice? I have a number, right? 1111. That's the reason invoice number is important. Okay, we'll be calling. I'll be asking. Just I got invoice from you. Invoice number is 1111. It states invoice amount is 10,000. But when I look at my PO, so it's 9,000 only. They may says it's yes, it's by our mistake and all we sent and all. In that case, what we can do? Simply header amount we can correct to 9,000. Then anyway, distribution is coming. Lines and distribution is coming from PO. Then header line distribution will be matched. Then you can validate and you can process for the next step. That's how we have to implement the control. So in two-way matching, what happens is, whatever the invoice you are creating in payables, that will be creating based on PO information. Okay. So what information exactly will be checking? In the supplier invoice, there will be quantity and price. Generally, whatever the quantity and price we have in a supplier invoice, that will be calling. Just let me give proper names. In two-way matching, what happens is, we'll create the invoice based on PO. So means we are verifying two documents. One is supplier invoice, other one is PO. Based on these two documents, we are validating and verifying. Okay, and finally we are creating the invoice. That means two-way matching. Two documents we are matching. One document is supplier invoice, other document is PO. These two documents, based on these two documents, we are going to create the invoice in the system. That is the reason we call it as two-way match. In two ways. One way is supplier invoice, other way is purchase order. These two documents we are verifying and we are creating invoice, that we call as two-way matching. In two-way matching, what exactly system will be matching? In supplier invoice, will be having invoiced price, invoiced quantity. And PO, whatever the price will be having, will say, simply you can say price or else purchasing price. Here what are the quantity we have that we call as ordered quantity. We simply call as PO price. What are the price we have as per PO, that we call as PO price. Okay, when you are creating invoice, here when you are creating invoice, what system will do? It will verify invoice price how much and do PO price how much, invoice quantity how much and do ordered quantity how much. These 4 parameters will verify. As per this, all should match. Okay, so as per invoice price it's a different and PO price is different, means there will be some variance. Okay, price is same but quantity is different. Again in that case also there will be some variance, system will be stopping. But you can set some tolerances, 2% difference okay, 5% difference okay in terms of price or quantity, that we can set, that we'll discuss, we'll see when you're working on payables detailed process. Okay, clear, right? Simple point is, in two-way matching, we'll create the invoice based on purchase order. In purchase order, what elements will be checking? Invoice price will be checked, checked with the PO price, and invoice quantity should be checked with the ordered quantity. If all are matching, then only system will allow us to validate and to create the invoice. This we call as two-way matching. And three-way matching. Three-way matching, there will be one more document. See, simple point I am taking. I'll take simple example. I give an order to the supplier. Okay, I give an order to the supplier for 10 quantity, unit price is 1000. Then I'll get invoice for 10,000. Okay, 10,000. I create an invoice and I am matching. Okay, I got invoice for 10,000. Say my PO price also total amount is 10,000. The PO I created with 10,000. I received invoice for 10,000. I'll create invoice. I'll match with the PO. Here 10,000, there 10,000. Okay, right? That is okay if you are not going to have receipt. But if you are receiving the material, if it is something PO related expense and all, there you don't receive anything, right? That would be fine. But say you take the same case. I just requested for 10 quantity. Unit price is 1000, so total PO amount is 10,000. I placed order, but I received 5 only. I'll create receipt with how much amount? 5,000. But I received invoice for 10,000. Now if I match with the PO, no, I can match. If I match with the PO, what happens? You are saying no. What no? If I match with, system will identify. Tell me like, I'll match with the PO. What happens? System will accept. Why you are saying no? What you are saying no? I didn't understand. A given case, 10,000 PO, I received only 5 quantity, means 5 quantity means equal to 5,000. I got invoice from the supplier. I created 10,000 invoice. Now I'll match with the PO. That would be fine, right? System will accept or stop? Accept. But we should not do like that, right? You should know that. So in that case, along with the purchase order, against that purchase order which receipt is created, you have to match with the receipt also. Then only you can get the actual amount. When you match with that receipt, that means finally invoice should be finalized based on the receipt information. For 5 quantity, how much? 5,000. That means if it is more than 5,000 and quantity is more than 5 quantity in the invoice, system will place the hold. It will stop it. If receipt is not there in the process, whatever you are doing, in that case simply you can match with the PO. Wherever receipt is existed, the process based on what you are procuring, based on that, if receipt is there, it's a mandatory you have to match with the receipt also. Otherwise, what is the invoice you are creating, that may get into wrong process, right? So if receipt is not there, okay, you can match with the PO. Generally for expense and all, you can match with the PO. That would be enough. You may not have a proper receipt and all the cases. But when you are dealing with some goods and all, always you have to match with the receipt. When you are matching with the receipt, receipt is belongs to, the receipt should refer something, right? Receipt always will refer PO only. So in the process, without considering the PO, you cannot match with the receipt. Directly you cannot match with the receipt. That is the reason we have to take the PO also into consideration. Reason is, in the receipt level we'll have only quantity, not price. I'll tell you the point here. Okay, in three-way matching what we'll do? We'll have, so let me just mark it for your visibility of this point. Here, in three-way matching will have a receipt also. The receipt what will be having?
Quantity.
Received quantity. So for example, invoice price is, it's nothing but a unit price you have to take. Invoice price means unit price. Say 100. PO price also say 100. 10. 10. Take this case. Okay. When you are creating three-way matching, we'll cross check between all these documents. That means invoice price with the PO price, invoice quantity with the PO as well as received quantity. In this case, why we should consider PO information also? If you ignore this PO information, say you received invoice and you are going to create invoice based on receipt. In that case, so invoice quantity is 10, receipt quantity also 10, but supplier mentioned price as 100. But what is the price you mentioned in your PO? Where is that information? That means this 10,000, 10 quantity is equal to how much amount? No information. If you consider the PO 100 means 100 into this 10,000. That's all. That means in receipt we cannot have any price information. Price information will be available only in the PO. That is the reason we have to consider. Other point is, without PO there is no receipt. We have a process separate feature in the system. Without PO also we can create receipt. That is a very kind of core concepts of purchasing and all. We don't need to focus on that. Okay, purchasing and inventory. Okay, so but this is a simple point. If I don't have any of this information, I'll match with the receipt. I'll match with the received quantity. Okay, invoice quantity is 10, received quantity also 10, but supplier quoted instead of the 100, 200. Where I can control? I have to cross check with our PO price also. Then only it can be controlled. Supplier is saying this 200. But when you match, quantities are matching but prices are not matching, then it will stop. If this information is not there, where you have information to match the price, whatever the price we have, the same price, right? So that's the reason we have to do this kind of three-way matching. In three-way matching, what we do, we'll create the invoice based on purchase order and receipt information. Okay, one way we'll be having supplier invoice also. We'll have one supplier invoice and PO receipt. Based on supplier invoice only, we'll be entering the basic details. PO number will enter, automatic system will take supplier and site. Then we'll give the PO just receipt number also. Finally, system will verify quantities are matching or not, price are matching or not. See, this is the case, but I received invoice from the supplier for quantity 100 only. Sorry, invoice price is 100 only. Quantity is 5 only. Invoice I received from supplier 5 only. But as per this, PO we placed for 10 quantity, we received 10. The system will accept to create the invoice? Think and tell me. Reality you think. Accept. Why? It's not more than. Less than we are happy. Of course, you'll be charging again, no issues. Okay. Actually, invoice we can pay up to 10 quantity with the price of 100. But supplier given partial invoice will be matching. It will be matched only 5 quantity. Still 5 quantity will be open to match. Supplier may send tomorrow or day after tomorrow. But one time or multiple times supplier is sending more than what we purchased, then system will be stopping. Remember always, if within that partial means okay, but it should not be, the price or quantity should not be exceeded. That is the control in the system. Less means we are happy. If supplier is not sending the invoice, we are very happy, right? But it's not possible. We have to get, but we have to make sure that he's not sending with a more price and quantity. That's all. Clear, right? That's all about three-way matching. In two-way matching, we are creating the invoice based on PO information, but reality understanding will cross-check between these two documents. We will create that is a two-way matching. Three-way matching means we are cross-checking three documents: supplier invoice, PO, and receipt. Between these three, we'll just verify, and finally that information will be entered in the system as a proper invoice with a proper validation. That we call as three-way matching. Okay, we'll talk about four-way matching. Inspection. So here in four-way matching, what we do, we'll just consider four documents. One is supplier invoice, and see, supplier invoice means supplier invoice only will be entering the system. Before entering the system, we have to consider that document, right? That is the meaning of this. We'll cross check between supplier invoice, PO, and receipt and inspection document. So we are going to create invoice with, say we are creating invoice and we match with the PO. PO ordered quantity is 10 and received quantity is 10, accepted quantity is 10. Quantities are matching, price also need to be verified. As per PO, price is 100 and invoice also 100. It will be created. It will create. Now take this case. Will system will accept this case? Accepts or rejects? Tell me. I'm creating invoice with based on this information. This is the information I'm considering. I'm creating. It will accept or not? Who is no? Who is yes? Who is no? No. No. Yeah. Could you please tell me why no? No. One by one.
Accepted quantity is 5.
Accepted quantity is 5. That means invoice should be created only for 5. Are we creating invoice with the 5 quantity or more than?
Price is invoice price is 100. PO price is 100. PO price 100 means.
Come on. Then you understand wrong way. That is unit price. Each quantity. 1 unit price. Don't think this 100 is equal to 5 quantity. Unit price. Each unit. The 5 means 500. That is it. It will accept or not? Yes, it will accept. The reason is we got invoice with the 5 quantity, price is this, yes, as per PO price is same, but here accepted is 5 only. Whatever we accept for that will be creating. It's not like what we ordered, what we received. Yes, you ordered and you received. Finally, you have to pay for what you accept. That's it. Will system accept in this case for invoice creation or not? Tell me one by one. Specific. What do you say? Can you tell me? This is a case where the system will accept to create invoice based on this information or not? Yes. How? Why? Simple point. Yeah.
Received 10.
We received
Quantity 10.
Order quantity is 10.
And the accepted quantities.
Received quantity is 10. Accepted quantity is 10. Because of that, it will accept.
Purchase order is also 10.
Purchase, I said the same. Order quantity, received quantity, accepted quantity, everything is 10. If all are 10, it will accept. All are same, it will accept. Can you tell me right or wrong? What? Whether the system will accept or not?
Accept.
Why? Because these points you have to understand. It's not like I completed matching options and you attended. It won't just work. You should understand if you.
Quantity and purchasing order quantity is equal.
Sorry, I given exact terms. You have to use the same. My question is, in this scenario, if I am going to create invoice, system will accept or not? If yes, why? If no, Why? You said yes. Why yes?
Ordered quantity and received quantity is equal.
Ordered quantity,
And received
quantity
is equal, so it will be accepted.
same.
Yes, sir. Same.
4-way matching I'm talking. So it will accept. That means you didn't understand at all. Any next? It will accept or not? I'm clearly writing and I'm giving sample data and I'm explaining, still you are not getting, means I don't have second option.
Accept.
It will accept or not?
Accept.
Why?
Order quantity is equal to distance.
Gone. You?
Accepted, sir. Invoice price and order quantity are
Huh?
invoice price and PO price are the same, and invoice quantity and accepted quantity are more than
Next.
accepted. Purchase quantity, POs in order quantity and inspection quantity is equal.
What POs in what is that? These terms are not there. Next.
Actually, the invoice quantity
Yes
is
or
not
no?
exceeded.
Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes. Why?
Because the invoice quantity is not exceeded what we ordered. So the system will accept the quantity is
Invoice quantity is not?
exceeded with the PO quantity.
Over. Game is over. Next one.
In the accepted
No, wrong here. What you are understanding?
I think no, sir.
Huh?
I think no.
You think, even I should think the same. Please don't mind. What?
Yes, sir. Actually,
Why?
order quantity is 10 and received quantity is 10 and inspection.
You see the terms I written here. Still, what you need, I don't know. Please, I'm just keeping topic.
In inspection, accepted quantity is 10.
3 are same. It will accept. Huh?
Yes, sir.
What logic here? This is next one.
Partial invoices are accepted.
I am asking you, it will accept or not. If yes means why?
Partial invoice accepted.
You are saying one statement. I am asking this case.
Accepted quantity is 10,
Ah.
but we received invoice quantity 5.
Hmm.
Then it will be accepted. Partial.
Mm-hmm. Other? Next one. Who can give perfect answer? Nothing is there. Whatever you just see, if these things you understand, these you can understand. That's it. It's not a great say. I don't know why you are finding difficult. Clearly explain now. Just please you tell.
It should not exceed after 10. Below 10 you can accept.
You will accept, huh? Yeah, there is one good point you are ignoring.
supplier can send multiple times.
No. That is not the point. I am not asking. There is one point here only. Everybody is missing that. Tell me. See, if you say order quantity, everybody is focusing on order quantity, received quantity, accepted quantity, same. Okay, same. But anyway, we got invoice for only 5 quantity. It's a less than accepted. That is the reason system will accept. You are saying, what about price? You have to say price also same. Then only it will accept, right? I'll take your case only. Here I'll give a price as 2,200. Will it accept? But nobody is talking about it. That's what I am explaining. You are seeing it only quantity. The 2 elements you have to consider: quantity and price. Okay. The simple point is our accepted quantity is 10. Simple way you can say accepted quantity is 10, but invoiced quantity is 5 only. Definitely can be accepted, but if price also matching, then only that point you should not ignore. Clear, right?
Yeah.
So in 4-way matching, invoice will be created based on PO, receipt and inspection. Okay. So what system will check? It will check invoice price and PO price. If both are same, it will accept. If accepted quantity and invoice quantity are same or less, I mean less in the sense the invoice quantity should be less, but system will consider anyway. It will be making a note saying that what is the order quantity, received quantity, and finally accepted quantity. If accepted quantity, the invoice should be with the same amount or less than. Okay, no issues, and price also should be same in the scenario. It will be accepted. Okay, so depending on what process they are following, what they are purchasing, whether they need inspection or not, whether they have an invoice receipt or not. Okay, otherwise they are going to create invoice based on just purchase order. Based on their practice, they will be choosing 2-way or 3-way or 4-way matching options to create the invoices. That's it. Okay, when you are creating invoices in the payables, we'll be using the 2-way or 3-way or 4-way match. Clear, right? That's all. Any doubt or confusion on this, please tell me. You should understand this thoroughly. It's not like 2-way, 3-way, 4-way. 2-way means based on PO. 3-way means PO and receipt. 4-way means PO, receipt and inspection. If you are going to say that is not okay, what exactly, how exactly? You have to consider the two parameters called as quantity and price. These points you should understand. Clear, right? Fine. I'm believing the same. I'm just going to the next step. Okay, now we'll talk about purchase order types. Okay, we don't need, in fact, detail level, but just let's take to have some understanding and all. Okay, just make a note. I'll tell you simple points. So now, quick question related to this: where we can set the numbering for? Let me ask one by one. Where we can set the numbering for purchase orders?
Standard shopping tab.
Next, your no means what? I don't know what to take as answer. Saying don't ask or something else. I don't know this. My question is, now we are going to discuss about purchase order. At least I have to understand that relevant thing you are okay or not. Where we can set, where we set purchase order numbering. Group answer I don't require. Please don't try anyone. I'm requesting. If you are not answering, you are not doing this course. That's it. Next one. Purchasing options. That is a big answer. Okay. In purchasing options, you have to prepare. I'm clearly telling. I'm requesting. Literally, I was requesting, and now also I'm requesting. Please spend time in the proper way. It's not like always we'll sit in front of system and we're practicing. Just give a presentation. Read your note. Give presentation, and have some discussions and all. This is how you have to work. I don't know. Still, people are not implementing these things, which are very much important. Okay. So any like purchase order numbering and all will be setting in the purchase order. Where will be setting the requisition number? Where will be setting? Purchasing options. Yes. Okay. Receipt number. Next one. Please, others, please. Receipt number. Next one. Because you should know all those things. Already course, the section is completed. Still, if you are not okay, I don't know when you will be okay. Because every day will be coming up with the new stuff and all. You have to get ready with that. If you are not okay with the previous stuff, how? No? Your wish. Next one. Sorry? No, what is the answer? This is how you will be facing the questions. In purchasing options, huh? What is that? Financial options. Supplier is a different answer again. What is my question? Receipt number. Right? Requisition over. Already answered, right? Receipt now. New question. Already it is passed the 4-5 members. Receipt number. Where we can set the receipt number? Purchasing options only. If you want me to open. Inventory options. Yes. Receiving options. Every question is becoming difficult every day. Please take care of it. The questions and answers. See, you have to get ready. That's what. Otherwise, I no need to trouble you by asking these questions, useless questions. But only the thing is, since we are doing this course, you have to be okay with the subject. Okay. I don't know. The people are not answering at all. But again, they are not spending time here. That is a different thing which I am not able to understand. They are not okay with the subject. They don't spend time in the institute. Okay, done. Anyway, we are going to discuss about purchase order types. Okay, basically we have 4 types of purchase. Just make a note. I'll give you a simple point. What exactly that and what purpose. Simple. So, what is generally what is use of purchase order? Can you tell me what is use of purchase order? Next one. Huh? Yeah. To place some order. To buy something, to place the order. It can be to render some services or to get some service or goods, whatever it may be. To place the order, we can use the purchase. it's not again the name itself definition. Again, it's not in new days. We're not talking something else. Okay, let's talk about one by one. When I talk about standard purchase order, okay, don't take any point. You can take it. First, we'll discuss and then you can take as a simple statement. Okay, when I talk about standard purchase order, what we do is if you want to buy something and you don't want to get into any agreement or contract with the supplier, okay, and if you know everything, you know which you want to buy, what items you want to buy, okay, what items you want to buy or which services you want to buy, and how much quantity you require items. If you are going to buy item, how much quantity you require, and where supplier has to send that material. That generally we call a ship to location, shipments. Where supplier has to send means nothing but shipments, and when supplier has to send, and what is the price for it. And when you know all these things without having any contract or agreement with the supplier, if you are going to buy simply one time or more than, that's different wish. They will be, we will never get into some kind of agreement or contract with the supplier. In that scenario, we will be using the standard purchase. In case of standard purchase, we will be knowing everything. We know what we have to buy, how much quantity we have to buy, what is the price for it, when we need it, where we need it, okay, and definitely will be knowing from whom we have to buy and all. First thing that we should know that, right? When you know everything, again we are not going to get into any contract or agreement with the supplier. That kind of business case will be using the standard purchase order. Take the simple statement. For one-time purchases, without any contract terms, we can use, without any agreement with the supplier, we can use the standard purchase order. A simple point you can take, for one-time purchases, we can use the standard purchase order. In case of standard purchase order, we never have any agreement or commitment with the supplier. For one-time purchases, we can use the standard purchase order without any agreement with the supplier. We never get into any agreement signing and all. It's just one time. I need this and this much quantity. This is the price. I am okay. You send to so and so location. That's all. Okay. Fine. Generally, every day, like in day in day out, like when we go and buy something, right? It comes under standard purchase order. Okay, so we'll ask, I need so and so item. How much? This much. Take and done. We don't know who is the shop person, his name, etc., etc. What would be the delivery location when you go to shop? Shop only. Will be there only, right? They'll be giving to us. If, of course, the item is a very big item, they'll be shipping. That in that case, will be giving the delivery location also. Okay. Yep. So that's all about standard purchase. Means for one-time purchases without having any agreement with the supplier, we can use the standard purchase order. The next one is blanket purchase agreement. See here, name itself agreement. Name itself agreement. When I talk about standard purchase order, what we know? Anyone tell me? Just now we discussed. What we know? What we know. Without not, I am not asking. What we know when we are buying in case of standard purchase order. We know what quantity, what item we require, how much quantity we require, and what is the price of that product, and shipment details, where supplier has to ship and when supplier has to ship. That's all. Okay. So these are all we know. Only the thing is we are not going to have any agreement with the supplier. But when I talk about blanket purchase agreement, that means that by seeing this name you can understand we are going to have some agreement with the supplier. We are going to have some agreement with the supplier. Again, it's saying something blanket means something is blank. That means something we are not specifying. What is that? We'll see. Generally, what we do is say just what I can say is, so we are constructing on building. We are constructing building in the multiple locations. Now I placed order to my vendor to purchase some cement. Okay, and think like in the market there is huge shortage for cement and all availability. Based on demand, there is no cement availability in the market. In that case, I want to have agreement with my supplier saying that, okay, you have to supply cement for 1 year. You have to supply cement for 1 year. I'll speak to my supplier. Okay, I'll speak to my supplier. Supplier agreed. And I'll be giving some what I require. I'll say I need this many cement bags. Okay, say 50,000 cement bags I need. I given, and price also just we mentioned. Price also just we mentioned. This is the price I'm ready to buy, and I'm not going to inform to my supplier saying that where he has to ship. I don't know, because I'm just running these projects, building construction, the multiple locations based on demand. Where there is some shortage for the construction, I'll be informing to my supplier with whom already I agreed. I mean, I have agreement. Then the supplier should be ready to supply the material to that cement bags to the respective location. In that case, I cannot give any address when you are getting into agreement. The agreement itself will be mentioning, I cannot give you where you have to send, but you have to send this much quantity, this is the price, and location I cannot tell you, and this is the agreement, this is the duration you have to supply. Within this duration, you have to supply. That's how we'll be having terms. And here, only the point is, other point to understand is when you talk about this, we can have some price negotiations. Supplier can give us saying that if you buy 100 bags, this is the price. If you buy 200 bags, this is the price. If you buy 1000 bags, this is the price. That kind of negotiation related price breaks generally we call. The price breaks also can be maintained when you are dealing with the blanket purchase agreement. So generally we'll create this blanket purchase agreement with say something we agreed with the so and so price and all. Then done, agreement is completed. After 10 days you need 100 bags. In that case, you have to raise that request to the supplier saying that we promised for these many number of bags, now you release 100 to so and so location. Then we'll be telling location. For that we have a separate concept against this purchase or blanket release and all. That's a completely handled by purchasing people, you don't have to worry about. Let's try to understand what is the purpose of this purchase order type. Okay, that scenario will be used. So which scenario? In case of blanket purchase agreement, we'll have agreement with the supplier for specific period, and we'll be knowing the quantity, price. Okay, we'll be knowing the price and quantity, and we won't know. I mean, we cannot mention, we cannot specify the shipment schedules. That's it. Okay, only shipment schedules will be missing. That is the reason they named it as a blank. Shipments, there won't be any shipment schedules. That's the reason of blank, and there will be agreement. Okay, that's it. Okay. In case of blanket purchase order, what we do? We'll create the purchase order with agreement terms without specifying the shipment schedules. Okay. We'll create the purchase order with agreement terms for a specific period, including items also, but that much detail will not required. If you understand the concept, that is enough. Say as a statement, you can take definition. Okay, in case of blanket purchase agreement, we'll have a agreement terms with the supplier without mentioning shipment schedules. Rest all will be mentioning, even price breaks also you can have within the purchase order. The blanket purchase agreement, we don't mention any shipment schedules, but we'll have an agreement with the supplier. Okay, we'll have some agreement terms, simply say terms, with the supplier to supply the material on our request. Okay, fine. So simple, 2 points you have to take. One first point is we'll have an agreement with the supplier. Agreement terms will be having. Another point is we are not sure about the shipment schedule. That's it. The rest all remains set. And again, the additional point is you can maintain the price breaks. So based on quantity, price related information also you can maintain. So that based on that you can maintain in this PO level. So whenever you are going to request for material, you look into that. Say you are going to place the order for 90 quantity, but price break says 100 quantity price is less. Then you may place 100 quantity. That's it. You have agreement, but when you are requesting for quantity, you look at the price breaks. Since you will get benefit, you may raise the request to get that much quantity. which gives some discount or some price, less price. Okay, done. Clear, right? Now, what do you mean by standard purchase order? Without any agreement for one time. Without any agreement, one time, everything is known. Information is well known. Everything you know, quantity and price and the shipments, everything you know. Here we have a planned purchase agreement. When you say talk about planned purchase agreement, it is same as standard, but we'll have a agreement. In standard planned purchase agreement, we know the price, quantity, shipment schedule, everything we know. But the item what we need for long term. Standard purchase order for one term, one type. If you want to buy for long period, long term, okay, in that case we'll go with the planned purchase order. For that, supplier has to agree with us saying, I'll be supplying for you long period. We'll get into the agreement saying that this is the price, this is the quantity, this is the item, this is the quantity, this is the price. You have to supply to Hyderabad, Amirpet. That is fixed, no doubt. But you should support for 5 years. You should supply for 5 years. After 1 year, I cannot supply if you say I'm not okay with that. You have to promise you'll be supplying coming 5 years, then only I'll commit with you to buy. That is the agreement. Only the term-based agreement will be there. The rest all are known. It is same as standard purchase order. In standard purchase order, you don't find any agreement. But here we'll be having agreement. Rest all remains same. That's it. Okay. You can say for long-term purchases, we can use the plan purchase agreement with agreement terms. That's it. Okay. Plan purchase agreement means what purpose will use? For long-term purchases, we can use the plan purchase agreement with agreement terms. What is the difference between the blanket and the plan? What is the similar point, common point in both?
We know the price, we don't quantity.
Here both are agreements, first point. Other point is, difference is in blanket we don't know the schedules and planned we know the schedules. Another point, in the blanket we'll be having the price schedules. Blanket, price break. Okay, but in the plan we don't find it. Okay. Blanket is one time or short term or long term?
We already
It can be anything. It can, but not one time. Generally, one time you don't go with agreements. It should be some more than. I mean, it can be multiple transaction at least, more than one. So generally, blanket when you talk about it can be short term or long term, but not one time purchase. One time purchases without agreement, you can use the standard price. One time you are going to buy no agreement, right? More than one time, then only you may get into agreement to support all the cases. So the blanket can be for long term or short term, but there will be definitely more than one transaction. That's how you have to understand. So when I talk about contract purchase order, okay, you'll have some contract with the supplier for what are the goods you buy or what are the services you will render. Okay, so contract purchase order means we'll have some contract with the supplier saying that the supplier has to supply whatever we need for certain period. It can be services or goods, but we are not at all going to mention what we need, how much quantity we need, what is the price. Nothing will be mentioning. Just with some supplier will have a contract saying that you should support for whatever I need for coming 1 year. That's it. Just we'll have a contract with the supplier. Okay, we'll have a contract with the supplier for specific period. That's it. Within the specific period, you can buy anything, but you are not going to inform to that supplier. The supplier may have a capability of supplying anything what you need. We no need to mention anything in the contract purchase order. Okay, fine. So this is all about purchase order types. Standard for one-time purchase without agreement, blanket with agreement without schedules. Will have a order with the supplier, and in case of plan, it's for long-term purchases. Everything is known, but we'll be having some agreement with the supplier, so that supplier we can support us for long term since we have an agreement. And in case of contract purchase order, we never specify what item we required, what is the quantity, price. No information will be specifying. Just will have a contract with the supplier, where supplier will be promising, will be supporting us by supplying or providing services for long period. What exactly those you don't need to specify. Really, when you are placing the order, by referring this agreement only will be placing that order, so that supplier will identify, okay, I have a commitment with the supplier, I have some promise with this customer, I should supply. Okay, that's it. So this is how just we have to understand. These are all of the points to understand about the purchase order types. Clear, right? Any doubt or question, please? Okay, fine. Now we'll talk about requisition types. What do you mean by requisition? What do you mean by requisition? What are the requirement you have? The requirement, if you are going to write, that only call as requisition. If you look at requisition, any requisition you can find what they require. It can be service or it can be product or anything. Okay. So generally when we raise the requisition, when we have a requirement, we'll raise the requisition. Fine. Here when you're raising the requisition, simple point. We'll have a requirement. We'll have a requirement to buy from one case from supplier, means from outside. Other case
Internal.
to get from within the organization only. Two cases. Say I need computers. So I may buy from vendor, supplier. Otherwise, I may get from other department. Finally, requirement. There is requirement. We need 10 laptops. Okay, if those are available in the other department, other branch, we'll get from there. Otherwise, we have to buy. So, if you have a requirement and the requirement can be fulfilled by purchasing from supplier only. That means source, from whom you are going to buy, from where you are going to buy, that always we call as source. You are going to buy from supplier means source you can call as supplier. You are going to get from other organization, that you can call as source as inventory, means from other inventory you are going to get. So when you are going to raise the requisition, you have to specify your target as per your requirement, from where we have to get the material. Generally from supplier, right? Sometimes it may be from other inventory. From other inventory you may get it. So by specifying that, you can create these two purchase orders. Purchase requisition means to purchase any material to supplier, we raise the purchase requisition. To get the material from other inventory, we can raise the internal requisition. Okay, both talks about requirement only, but when you are creating, from where you want to get, based on that you can say that is purchase requisition or internal. But anyway, naming convention also they are given separately. But the purpose you have to understand. If you are going to get from other inventory, which requisition you have to raise? If you want to get from other inventory, you have to raise the. If you want to get from supplier, raise purchase requisition. That's all. These 2 points you have to understand. But when we are working on this P2P cycle, we don't need to touch all the PO types under these requisition types. But for our understanding, we'll create the standard purchase order and purchase requisition. These two are enough, and we will create the receipt and we'll be testing purchase returns and other stuff. Okay, clear, right? Any questions, please? If you don't understand, please ask me, because you don't try to get adjusted with what you understood, or you don't plan to ask some other guy after class. Okay, just you can ask me here, we can discuss. Okay, fine, right? So we discussed about receipt routing methods. Standard receipt means we'll get into staging, from staging to inventory. Direct delivery means directly we'll take into inventory. Inspection required, we'll get into staging, then we'll conduct inspection, then we'll take into inventory, 3 steps process. We'll talk about two-way matching. We'll create invoice based on the PO. When you say PO, you always consider PO price and order quantity. And three-way matching will create invoice based on PO and receipt. Here will be considering PO price and ordered quantity and received quantity with invoice quantity and PO price with the invoice price. And in four-way matching, along with that, we'll be considering accepted quantity also. If you are going to do the matching and all, okay, if invoice quantity is less than the PO or receipt or accepted quantity, there won't be an issue. Okay, PO price, I mean, this is going to be less than that, there won't be an issue. That means that is going to be partial invoice, but that should not exceed. That is the control. Here, the control is whatever the reality, the transaction we have in our system, the real transaction. So the invoice whatever we are creating, that quantity or price should not exceed when you compare with the existing transaction from purchasing department. Okay, that is the purpose why we do the matching. When I talk about purchase order types, we have a standard, blanket, planned, and these three are contracts. Even I written here as a contract, purchase order, contract or agreement, there is no big difference. So these three comes under agreements. This is just without any agreement, standard one. Standard for one-time purchase without agreement, we will be knowing everything. In blanket, we know everything except shipments, and again we'll have an agreement, okay, certain period. And planned case, we know everything, it's similar to standard, but here we'll be having agreement so that supplier can fulfill our requirements. And contract, we don't need to specify anything, only we'll have some specification for how much period the supplier has to supply the material. That's it. Yeah. And requisition, if you are going to buy some from supplier as per requirement, rise purchase requisition. If you want to get the material from other inventory, okay, in that case rise internal requisition. These are the points to understand. Clear, right? Okay. Now we'll see the process of creating the requisitions, purchase orders, receipts, and all. So when we discuss about P2P cycle, we discuss who will create the requisition. No? See, if you are not preparing, just that your wish. Okay, fine. We will create the requisition. P2P cycle we discuss, right? At least you should know that. Purchasing, right? Not in our class. That is. Sales department. It's a wonderful answer. Next one. Inventory. That's what we discussed. I don't know how you discussed. Okay, we discussed. Okay, as per P2P cycle, the requisition will be raised by inventory department. Yes, that's true. Even when you are working real time also, what happens is the requisition process will get initiated from inventory only. You can create requisitions automatically also. For that, in inventory we have some planning methods, minimax planning, so that they can set, there should be minimum for this own item, this should be the minimum quantity, and maximum quantity should be only this more than this we should not have in the inventory. Kanban planning, and we have reorder planning, and different planning methods we have, but we don't need to get into that to understand. That's a purely job of SCM consultant or say inventory consultant. Okay, but the process is there. Reality, the process will get initiated from inventory, but as per our application requisition creation, what happens is there will be setting the planning method, automatically system will create the requisition in inventory. That in requisition you can get into the purchasing department, purchasing application you can see. Apart from that, Oracle given the flexibility, you can create the requisition from purchasing also. If you want to auto generate and all, that process you can initiate from inventory. Otherwise you can create the requisition from purchasing, or else the function you can add to inventory also. From inventory also you can create, nothing wrong. But as per standard function they given, requisitions can be created from purchasing also. Now what we'll do is to understand this process. We discussed in P2P cycle many points, just you should have that information. But when you are going to test all or not required for us, what I'm going to do is we'll create one requisition and we'll create one purchase order. We'll approve it. Yes, we have approvals. When you talk about approvals, here we have that information, right? Here only we mentioned or somewhere. Where we mentioned? Here, right? Okay, Mr. Koti has an approval limit of 1 lakh. Bharat? Now we are using the login is related to Koti only, right? That is mapped with that user is mapped with the Koti only. Now what we'll do is we'll be testing. We'll go and create one requisition with 1 lakh. It's not mandatory how to create 1 lakh. Limit is up to 1 lakh to approve, but you may create with 10, 20, 30, whatever. Less than also not an issue. But we'll go and create one requisition with 50,000. We'll approve it. Okay. Based on requisition, we'll create the purchase order automatically. We can create the purchase order automatically. First we'll test that. Later we'll see how to create manual process also. We'll see. And we'll be approving the purchase order also. Based on purchase order, you can create the receipt. Based on purchase order, you can create receipt by matching the. And we'll create invoice by matching with the P1 receipt. We'll see. And we have many other scenarios also. We'll create invoice also automatically, manual, instead of creating and matching. Instead of using 2-way, 3-way, 4-way matching. When you create the receipt, system will create the invoice automatically. That we call as pay and receipt concept. That there are many other concepts we'll discuss and we'll do it. For now, we'll see the process. What we are going to do is let me list out what we are going to do, and we'll be doing one. We'll follow the same process. Okay. So to understand this P2P cycle, what we do is we'll create the. Just you can mark it as a just name it as a P2P cycle. We are going to test P2P cycle. Say create requisition. We'll take some figures also. I'll say 50,000 and we'll submit for approvals. We'll simply say we'll approve it. Okay, we'll be creating this requisition, Mr. Koti. Okay, the current user is mapped with that employee only. Okay, we'll create requisition that will be approved. Now then next step is we'll say create purchase order automatically based on requisition. Which requisition? Approved requisition. Okay, that is very important. Please take all the points. Okay, we'll create the requisition and we'll approve it. Then we'll create the purchase order automatically based on the requisition. Then against the purchase order, we'll create the receipt or say GRN. Okay, so create receipt, or you can call as GRN. GRN stands for goods receipt note. The receipt will be creating against PO. That's all. Then we'll create invoice. You can call that invoice as a payables invoice or purchasing invoice, or you can call it supplier invoice also. Any term you can use. All are correct. Create purchase invoice using 3-way matching. Anyway, we'll be testing 2-way, 3-way, 4-way, all will be testing. For now, we'll use the 3-way matching. And to understand completely, then we'll create and we'll be making the payment. So instead of creating, say record payment. Fine. So this is what we are going to test. Even for PO also will be approving. Okay. We have we set approvals for PO and requisition, right? We'll create the PO also, the 50,000. Anyway, PO will be created automatically based on that. We have to approve it. Then we'll create the receipt against that. Then we'll be creating the purchase invoice by using the 3-way matching, and we'll make the payment. When you are creating the purchase order also, you have to make sure that the 3-way matching related option is selected in PO. So how you want to create the purchase invoice? The purchase invoice you want to create based on 2-way or 3-way, 4-way matching. Based on that plan, that has to be specified at the time of PO creation only. While you are creating PO only, you have to give the specifications against this PO, how you will be creating the invoice in AP, that you have to plan and you have to set up accordingly. Clear, right? Fine. Now just we'll get into this application. Okay. Sorry, I just selected that. So this 12. Okay, so username is call free, password I given welcome. Take the task as create requisition. Okay, create requisition. So from which application we can create? Purchasing. We can create from purchasing. Within purchasing we have requisition related function. We open the periods, right, in all the applications. Okay. What are the setups we did for that we already done. Okay, now go to purchasing. Expand this. Click on any one of the function. Fine. Okay, take the navigation. Requisitions. Task name is create requisition. Navigation is requisitions. Okay, this is the requisition creation window. Okay, what is the structure of invoice? Ladder, line, and distribution. This is also same as invoice distribution. This section is header section. This is line section. This is distribution. That's all. Okay, fine. So by default, user level we assign employee called as Koti. The same employee it is taking as a preparer. He is preparing the requisition. Here we have a requisition types. Purchase requisition and internal requisition. By default, system is selecting purchasing. Yes, we want to create purchasing only. What is the status of requisition? Incomplete. Okay. Now just go and place the cursor in the line number field. Here system will generate the number. Okay. The purchasing options we given numbering, right? By following that, it will generate the number here once you create the requisition. Just place cursor under lines tab. Place cursor in the number field. Then what is your requirement? Expense or some goods or some service or something else. So those all can be predefined. We can define also. We can define and maintain. So all our values are available for us. We can use the existing one. Type you can select as a goods. Okay. We created item, right?
Yeah.
Inventory. Books we created. Which books? Just we given Oracle books or something else. Okay. So what you can do is simple. You can click on LOV and you have to give percentage and enter. Otherwise, simple shortcut. Give percentage and tab out. If only one item we have in the inventory, it will select, otherwise it will list out all the items. Only one we have, it is selecting. So we are able to find the item here which is there in the inventory. How? Anyone? Any guess? Items we have in inventory, but items we are able to find from purchasing. How we are able to access the items from inventory to purchasing?
We assign the items to the actual.
Sorry?
Interlinking between the inventory and
Yeah, that is there. Not because of that we are getting.
We assign the items to the actual.
We assign?
Items to the actual.
Yes, we assign. Then we generally assign items to actual inventory. Yes. But why we are getting in purchasing? How we are getting? I am asking.
We are able to purchasing order.
Sorry?
We are given the purchasing order selecting.
Purchase?
Purchasing order selecting.
See the order of selecting. What is this? Any answer?
In inventory, we enable purchase it option and inventory.
No. That is okay. I can take some valid, but not exactly. Okay, fine. Well, at least you are catching that point. There is a good reason. We did that setup also. Please, anyone? Please, anyone? In purchasing, how we are getting the items? Where we have this item? Which inventory? Actual inventory. You created there, but you assigned to actual. The item which is there in the actual inventory, we are able to access from purchasing. How we are accessing? The actual inventory assigned to purchasing, any chance? No, right? Yes or no? You know that. I am not telling yes or no. You tell me. Anyone, please. Few people are not thinking also, at least. Okay. No?
Purchasing item template.
No? Anyone? We completed that. At least we can take minute time, no problem. Please think and tell me. These things are very important. See, when we are doing something, you should have thinking mind. Okay, when we are doing, we should. Otherwise, just everything will be going on the fly. Okay, take one minute time and tell me.
We'll receive items to purchasing. That's
Okay. How we are getting? Any clue? You don't tell something because I am asking simple point. I am getting item here. Item I am getting from inventory. Which inventory you know? If you already selected that inventory for purchasing, then you can understand that. Financial options for what purpose? To control the payables, purchasing and asset functionality, right? In financial options we given inventory, right? Inventory we given means that is we given for purchasing also, right? Only you can get the items here. The items which are there in the inventory, which inventory is assigned in financial options. Financial options we selected inventory, right? That means we selected that inventory for this operating unit. Okay, you cannot find, you may have multiple items in your inventory, but those are not assigned to the current actual inventory, which is assigned to this financial option related to this operating unit. You cannot get that item. That is the point you should understand. Okay, fine. Anyway, nothing wrong here. Just we'll proceed from here. So let me reconnect it once. Seems to there is an issue. Okay, fine. We give an item name, then automatic system is defaulting rest of. Okay, the default category what we set in the system and description, and how much quantity, how many books we require. So 10 books. Why it is very slow today? It's not what connecting is. 1 second, let me reconnect. Okay, here you can give the unit price. Nothing wrong, just let's give this price 10,000 unit price. Total amount is okay. So 10,000, let's give 5,000. So we plan for 50,000, right? Right. Now need by date. We are writing the requisition. We have to say by which date we need it. Okay. The 10 books we require by which date? Need by date we have to select. So by 19th we need. Okay, by 19th, the amount system is taking us 50,000. Then, since here we selected type as purchase requisition. Purchase requisition means from whom we are going to buy. System is selected source as supplier. Okay. So destination. Once we get that material, where will be storing? Inventory only. And who is the requester? Quote. Sometimes the person who is preparing can be one, and who is requested, the person can be different. Okay, say for example you are in the team and you are working for project, you need laptop. Whom you request? Manager. You may request your manager. Now on behalf of you, your manager can raise the requisition in the company. In that case, as per the requisition, requester is preparer is preparer. Manager is preparing the requisition for you. He is going to ask for my team member, I need laptop. He is preparer, and who requested that laptop? You. Employee will be the requester. That's how we have to understand. Okay, fine. Once you get those 5 material, you will be storing in the inventory. Which inventory? That inventory how to select here. Select inventory. Call free Hyderabad inventory. In Hyderabad, in which location? In Hyderabad, you may have inventory in multiple locations also. Which location, that also you have to give here. So select as Hyderabad. Okay. So that's all about line information. Okay. Now one more point, when you are raising the requisition as a requester, okay, or a preparer, say as a preparer or whatever requested, you may specify I need these books from so and so vendor. You can specify, but not mandatory. We'll take decision. Purchase department will take decision from whom they have to buy. But you may give your preference also. If you know so and so supplier will give the best price, you may just mention that. Or else, depending on company business cost and all, you may request saying that you should buy from this supplier only. I need from this supplier. That depends. What you are buying, what is the process, and other many points will come into the picture. Okay, it's not mandatory when you are raising the requisition. If required, you can select the supplier and do site also, but generally not required. If required, you can include that. Then click on distribution. What do you mean invoice distribution? For which account, how much amount? The distribution, right? Here also same. This amount should belongs to which account you have to give. Okay. Click on distribution tab. Okay, click on distributions tab. And here place, we have one field called as charge account. Just place cursor here, automatically it will take the charge account. And you should say from where it is taking. From where it will be taking generally? From where we given, from there only, right? Where we given, we did in front of you only. So you tell me from where we given this account. Any one, any one, please. Who can answer? You can answer. Tell me from where. Tell me right answer. I don't need all answers, whatever you feel and all. Whatever reality, what we did, I need that base answers. My question is from where this account system is taking. Which account? What account you given as purchasing? Purchasing where you given?
Receive material.
Huh?
Receive material account.
Received material account. What is the account number? What do you mean 1410 as per operations? Material account. Where you given material account? Where you given material account? Purchasing or payables? If you say purchasing, how I can take the answer from that? You have to prepare this kind of preparation, no use. Yeah, please, next one. Next one, you only, please. Where we given this account?
Purchasing.
If you don't mind, I'll open. Can you show me that? I'm not able to see that.
Inventory accounting tab.
Receiving information from action.
Payable of
Payable options or payment term?
payable.
Huh?
Payables.
Huh? Next one.
Supply.
Supplier.
Item inventory is inventory information.
Inventory information, simple point. Inventory information. We're setting the inventory information. We given that account, right? That's it. Okay. Now you have to just save it. Save requisition will be created. See, the course itself very simple course. I don't know why you are not showing interest to get ready with this. Okay, I saved it. Now you can close this distribution window and you can see the requisition number. This is what we given, right? In purchasing options, requisition number should start from 1. First number is 1 only. Done. Now what is the status of requisition? Now we have to approve it. So who is the current user? Koti. For Koti, what is the approval limit?
1 lakh.
How can you say 1 lakh? No, 1 by 1. Let me ask 1 by 1. How can you say?
They said limit to 2, up to 1.
Where? How?
Increase.
Tell me that logic. That's
Employer use.
employer.
Employee use.
We're creating employee.
See, the point is, court is going to create this requisition. You said limit is 1 lakh. How can you say limit is 1 lakh? Where you specified that?
We have set the limit to 1 lakh.
Where?
We're
You
creating-
given for employee, you selected employee and you given that amount? Huh? Yes or no, please? These points are important. It's not like I also completed purchasing setups means what is the use of it? Next one.
Position buyer 1 lakh.
What position buyer 1 lakh? Next one. I explained also, right? At that time I explained this how system also will understand. I explained, but you didn't understand. Buyer? Tell me, please. What you are telling? You don't know. Next one.
Approval group.
Approval?
Approval groups. In
We
approval group,
created approval groups. Then what's wrong?
we assign approval buyer as 1 lakh.
Uh-huh.
Buyer as 1 lakh.
Approval group, I have buyer name. You're telling that? You should be able to tell in proper way. That's also important. Please tell me.
We created approval group and we assign approval to that approval for that quote.
Don't say this and that. Here, stop. Please tell me. Here, this is how you have to respond. Tell me.
We created approval group and we assign.
We created approval group. Good point. Then
And we assign. to
What's
the
wrong?
Employee.
approval group is assigned to.
1 lakh limit for
Just please let him complete.
We are assigned to the employee as 1 lakh limit.
Can you show me that? I'll open. Whatever the form you want me to open, I'll open. Can you show me that? Yeah, tell me. See, you should be able to present. You should be able to explain. If you know that, it's not enough. Yeah, please. Same, okay, leave it. Next one. And the same day I explained also. The same day we did and I explained. This is how system will understand and all I said.
Document total and account range we have given 1 lakh.
Given, yes. I am just asking. Now I am going to create the requisition. Person, just Koti is going to create. Okay, Koti has approval limit 1 lakh. You people are saying. Where you specified, how system will understand? Simple point. Two steps. Two or three steps. Who can explain? Please.
We create approval groups.
We created approval group.
The quote buyer given limit.
To Koti buyer.
Given limit to quote. Like 1 lakh.
In approval groups, level in the type of approval level.
Nothing. Simple point. Yeah, tell me.
Approval assignments, approval, purchase requisitions and approval.
In approval rules, tab.
Simple point. We created an approval group with 1 lakh. That approval group we assign to job called as buyer. That job we assign to Koti. That's what we did, right? That's what we did. The same I am asking. How you assign? How 1 lakh you assign to Koti means this is how we assign. Approval group we assign with 1 lakh. Of course, their document we selected requisition purchase order. That we assign to buyer job. That job we assign to Koti. The job level how much we set? 1 lakh. That same is applicable to Koti. That's how it is applicable. And the same day also explain the same point. More than this I explained that when that employee will assign to user, when the user will log into the system will be understanding who is the employee. When they are recording the transaction, what is the limit, it will understand through job. The job can be assigned to multiple employees also. Okay, job level is set and that we assign to the employee. That's how we did. Now I'm going to just click on approve. That means Mr. Koti is going to submit for the approval. What system? It will accept or reject. It will approve it. Reason? This Koti has approval limit of 1 lakh and we can do that. Can I create requisition with 2 lakhs?
Yes.
Yes or no? That is the point. Few people are saying no. We can create. Only the point is approval. Click on approve. Click on approve, then say OK. Okay, click on approve, then just say OK. So today's system is a bit slow. I think internet connection or I don't understand. Okay, anyway, done. We click on approve. So once you submit, you cannot see that information here. Okay, close this form. Let's go and see what is the status of requisition. Okay, and we'll go and see the status of requisition. To see the status of requisition, take this navigation. Set simple task, take as find requisition status. So find requisition status. We have to understand whether it's approved or not approved, or else it's an approval process. Navigation is requisition summary. Okay, requisition under requisition summary. So here you can give your requisition number. Requisition number is 1. This you can provide here. Then click on find. So navigation is requisition summary. Requisition summary. Then you can just which requisition status you want to see, just provide the requisition number and click on find. Or else simply you can give who prepared also. Preparer name also you can give. How many requisitions are prepared by the same preparer, all will get listed, but in current case we have only one. Anything you can give, but best option is you can give the number. This is the number. What is the status of requisition? Approved. Okay, now just say clear, right? Just let me redo this. Somebody is taking the points, I think. So click on find and you can see the approval status as approved. You can see that this is the request number and the approval status is approved. If you want to see the same requisition, you can click on open. From here the same will get open. I think cannot be open. This requisition, the requisition is one of the following status, because it's approved, that's the reason it's not opening. Other statuses it will be opening from here, the function. So then this is how just we have to verify the status of requisition. Okay, now the next point is create PO automatically based on requisition. Say create auto purchase order, or say create automatic purchase order. Take the task name as create automatic purchase order. Create automatic purchase order. Here is the direct navigation to create the automatic purchase order. Function name is Autocreate. Okay, fine. Autocreate. From now, don't take the point whatever I'm going to explain. Okay, from here you can create. And before that, normally when you are creating the purchase order, don't take anything. Just try to understand the point. Don't take anything. Okay, when you are creating the purchase order, who is the supplier will be giving, and what is the supplier? Site if you are giving, if you are going to create through manual process, and what is the ship to location and the bill to location. Who's ship to, who's bill to? Suppliers, right? Suppliers, right? Our location, which ship to, which bill to, we are informing to this supplier that we have to enter in the supplier level. This is a purchase order we are creating. To whom we are sending the purchase order, which is the address, and within the PO we are going to tell to the supplier saying that to where they have to ship the material and where they have to bill to the, what is the bill to location. This information we have to tell to the supplier. But now we are going to create the requisition PO automatically based on the requisition. So when system is trying to convert requisition as a purchase order, it will look for ship to and bill to. Do you have any ship to bill to in your requisition? Then system will fail. For that reason, what we have to do is, if you are going to create the requisition purchase order automatically based on requisition, you have to make sure that supplier level you provided ship to and bill to as default information. So in this kind of scenario, system will fetch from there to here. Got the point? Now what we'll do is, we'll go and verify supplier level whether we given this information or not. We go to supplier. What is navigation from purchasing? Supply base, suppliers. Who is our supplier? Fusion organization. Find that supplier. If you are creating the manual purchase order, no issues. It's not mandatory you have to maintain default. You can select. But if you are creating the PO automatically based on requisition, supplier level, that default ship to bill to location we have to provide. Okay. Supplier name is okay, supplier. Now here we have site. Here you can provide ship to and bill to location, or else from here also you can provide. You can go to this tab. Okay, purchasing. So here you can provide ship to bill to. Here also it's related to supplier site only, right? Supplier side this one, right? Go to purchasing hyperlink. This point you take it. Supplier level, go to purchasing hyperlink. Go to purchasing hyperlink. There you can select default ship to and bill to. I'm selecting here just Hyderabad. I select a ship to as Hyderabad. Bill to also I'm going to select. Click on the drop down. Click on more. Just search for Hyderabad. Then go with the quick select. Done. And ship via and all not required. Just the shipping is going to happen how? Through some flight or some voyage. I mean flight means voyage, or ship or road transportation. How the shipping will happen and all that you can not required. So just provide. Go to purchasing. Open the supplier. Go to purchasing and provide ship to bill to locations. Then save it. Now if you create the auto purchase order based on requisition, without any issue, system will create it. Clear, right? Just save it. Okay, fine, done. Now let's go to this application. Now we'll continue from here. Anyway, you taken the navigation, right? Autocreate you taken. From here, let's see. So now you want to create the purchase order against which requisition? Requisition number? 1. You can give the requisition number 1 here. Give requisition number 1. And for requisition 1, quote is the buyer? Preparer or requester? Not at all buyer. Who will be the buyer? Who will create the purchase order? Then we can call them as buyer. But as of now, quote is not? So remove quote as a buyer. Do that. Otherwise, you don't find this equation also. Remove that. If you want to give as a requester or preparer, you can give it. But anyway, not required. Just give the request number. Remove buyer field value, which is defaulting. Okay. Then just click on find. It's very simple. This is the navigation, direct function. Auto create. This form will open. You want to create the purchase order against which requisition? Which requisition you want to convert as a PO? That number you have to provide. Buyer field value you can remove. Then click on find. Click on find. Take all the points. You can see the requisition information. Only one line we enter, right? The item is Oracle books and quantity is 10. Unit price is 5,000. Okay. So all the information we have here. Need by date 19th we entered and all the information you can see here. Okay. Now select this requisition. Enable the checkbox. Select. Select. Okay, select requisition. Here see, just notice you don't need to change anything. Action is there as a create. Which document? Standard purchase order. Grouping rule is default. Now okay, you don't need to change all those things, not required. Enable and click on automatic. I mean to just select the requisition, then click on automatic. To create the purchase order, we require supplier. Without supplier, you cannot create any purchase to whom you are placing order, right? So you cannot create. But requisition level, do you have supplier? Yes or no? Do you have supplier in requisition level? Whatever requisition we created, do you have supplier information? No, right? When you say to create automatically, system will be asking to provide the supplier information. Just click on automatic. Our system is asking the requisition purchase order should be created against which supplier based on this requisition. Which supplier? Fusion. The system is defaulting the site. Now you can click on create. Okay, fine. Click on create. The system will create the purchase order and it will be opening the purchase order form also. So see the form title, auto create to purchase order number 1. Okay, operating net is this and PO number is 1, supplier is an organization site, ship to bill to it is taken from supplier because already we given, otherwise it will fail. So buyer, now code is the buyer because buyer means should be PO preparer, will be preparing the PO buyer. The status is incomplete. Whatever the line information we given in the requisition, the same copy to PO. Okay, requisition lines are got copied as a PO lines. What is the structure of requisition? Why you are thinking? What is it? Header line distribution. Okay, invoice this structure also same. But when you look at purchase order, along with that you have to specify where supplier has to ship the material, right? For that we'll be having some additional concept called as shipments. You see the concept. We'll be having header lines. Each line what will give the some material. I mean what items we need, goods. So that goods has to be shipped to which location. We have to have a shipment for each and every line. See here, this is the header section. From here, this is a line section. For this line, shipments. Here we'll be mentioning where the material has to be delivered. Okay, just click on shipments. So shipment says they have to ship the material to Hyderabad. Okay, Hyderabad we mentioned 19th. And you can change also, but when you are creating the manual purchase order, I'll tell you, we can have multiple shipments. I can say 5 quantity only on 19th, 5 quantity on 25th. Then those we call as 2 shipments. Okay, so for this is shipment, we have a header line. Every line will have a distribution shipment. There in the shipment window, for each shipment will have a distribution. You just click on this distribution tab. Okay, click on distribution tab, then scroll little right. What are the account we have in the PO, that is the requisition, that is defaulting to PO. That's it. It's very simple. System created PO. You can see the header information. These are the line. The requisition line copied as a PO line. Every line will have a shipment to specify where this material has to be shipped. This is information we are passing to the supplier. Before that we are creating in our system. We'll print it and we'll be sending, or else you may send online process. Okay, so this is the information, and for every shipment we'll have a distribution. And receiving options, do you remember? Do you remember receiving options? Who remember that? Receiving options, do you remember receiving options or not? I'm asking. You are only 1, 2, 3 members. Thanks for that. Okay, just click on receiving controls. The same receiving option information will be defaulted here. There only we set days early, days late, right? Tolerance, everything 0 we set. There only we given receipt routing method as a standard receipt. Now you are creating the PO. This PO related material, how you are going to receive? Directly with 1 step you want to receive, or else the 2 steps or 3 steps. Means 2-way, 3-way, 4-way. 2 steps means, sorry, 1 step means 2-way matching. Okay, 1 step means 2-way matching. 2 steps means 3. 4 steps means, 3 steps means 4-way matching. So 1 step 2-way, 2 steps 3-way, 3 steps 4-way matching. So that you have to set here. If you are setting here, okay, if you are setting here direct delivery, oh, I'm sorry, it's not like that. I said some different. So here 1 step means it's a matching, right? So this is not, there is some relevance, I'll explain you, but don't take this point, whatever I said. It's not like, so 1 step means it's all about direct delivery. 2 steps means we'll be selecting standard receipt. Okay, and 3 steps means, inspection, not steps. 3 steps means we'll go with the this. I am not comparing. I don't want to compare with the matching options here. Inspection required. Okay, 1 step means direct delivery, 2 steps means standard, 3 steps means inspection. Accordingly, you can match with the matching options also, that we'll discuss later. Now let's ignore it. So now how you want to do that? How many steps you want to follow when you are creating this process in the system? Let's go with the standard receipt. Later we'll be testing direct delivery and inspection required also will be testing. Okay, so that's how we'll be doing. But if you select inspection required, definitely have to use the 4-way matching only, right? You can use direct delivery or standard receipt. You can use 2-way or 3-way, no issues. But if you use inspection required, when is the inspection required, definitely you have to use 4-way matching for invoice creation. That is the point. Other points we'll be discussing. Now let's go with the same. I am not changing whatever we said. Where we given this receipt routing method as default, the same it is copying here. Notice that. That's all. And you want to create invoice by matching with the PO or receipt. If you say PO, only PO. If you say receipt, PO and receipt. PO and receipt. If you say PO, only PO. If you say only PO, that matching is 2-way. If you say you want to create invoice by matching with the receipt, 3-way. I'll say I want to match the invoice with the receipt, and if I set receipt routing method as, then that is 4-way. That's all. Okay, no other understanding required for us. Okay, those are the points you have to understand. See here, in the shipment level, if you go to tab called as more, okay, here you have a invoice match option. Okay, invoice match option. If you set to PO, you can create the invoice by matching with the PO. That means 2-way matching. If you set to receipt, it can be 3-way or 4-way depending on which receipt routing method you are selecting. But here we have a match approval level as a 2-way, 3-way, 4-way. Reality, there is no control on that. Just for information, the entire logic will work based on invoice match option only. Okay, now what we'll do? We'll go with the 3-way matching. For that, what value you have to select? Receipt. That's all. So now we are not changing anything. Just we are trying to understand how that information we have in the system. Okay, and save it. You may think 2-way matching PO only. That's what I said. It can be 2-way or 3-way, 4-way, but here values, there is no dependency, there is no control, just for information. Okay, otherwise just for information only, if you need, you can select 3-way, nothing wrong. Okay, that's all. Clear, right? Close it. Now what we have to do? Approve it. Yes. This buyer, Mr. Koti, has approved limit to approve purchase order, standard purchase order. Yes. When we are assigning the approved group, we given the access to this document type also with the same amount, 1 lakh. Now just click on approve. If it is approved here itself, you can see that. Again, you want to go to separate windows to see the approval approved or not. From the same screen, you can see that. Same form that approvals update, you can see. Click on approve, then say here system selected checkbox, right? Submit for approval. That is the reason we are saying okay. Just click on OK. Okay, just say OK. Now you can see the status of this purchase order. It's approved or incomplete. Okay. What is the status of PO? Approved. Because this buyer has a limit up to 1 lakh, but this PO within the limit, nothing but 50,000. Now what we have to do is, based on this, we have to create the receipt. How many steps we have to follow? 1 or 2 or 3? Please, who is 2? 3. Why? 2 only. Why? Why? Huh? Why? Points are missing. Because we selected standard receipt routing method. That's it, right? How many steps I will decide? You are saying 3 and you are saying 2, but no information. How many steps, how it can be decided based on? Based on receipt routing method. Because we selected in current PO standard receipt routing method as that is the reason you can say 2 steps. Just we did right. Of course, system defaulted based on our setups. right? If you go to shipments and if you click on receiving controls, you can see that. Please don't say because three-way matching 2 steps, 3 steps. Because of matching, steps cannot be decided here. Which documents need to be taken into consideration, those can be decided. But steps will be decided here based on routing method. That's very important for us. Okay, done. Close it. Now we are going to create the receipt. Say create receipt. Now receipt creation 2 steps. Reason receipt routing method we used as a standard. First we'll create the receipt. Okay, then whenever we receive the material into staging, we'll create the receipt. When we move the material from staging to inventory, we'll create one more transaction. When you receive the material into staging, whatever we create, that we call as receipt. When you move the transaction from staging to inventory, that in the system will be recording as a receiving transaction. Okay, now we are going to perform 2 activities. One is receipt, the second one is receiving transaction. Receiving transaction when we have to create, when we are placing the material into inventory. Receipt when you receive the material into staging, but as per current scenario. But normally as per general scenario, receipt will create when you receive the material into inventory. Simple point. If you are using the direct delivery, if you create the receipt, that is enough. Through receipt only you can take the material into inventory. That will be understood in detail level. For now, these are the points to understand. Since this is a standard receipt routing method, we are going to perform 2 activities. First step is receipt for the process of receiving the material into staging, and then we'll create the receiving transaction. Basically, generally when you move the material from staging to inventory. Done. Now say create receipt. Say create receipt. Navigation is receiving receipts. Okay, navigation is receiving receipts. You want to receive that material into which inventory?
Hyderabad.
That you have to select. Of course, initial level into staging only, but still you have to specify that. What is that? Call free Hyderabad inventory. Select it. Say okay. You want to receive the material into staging against which purchase order? The purchase order number you can give here is PO number 1. When you give the PO number 1, system will default against the PO who is the supplier also. So given the PO number, it has to default supplier information also in this field. It is just fetching the data from database. Today's system is a bit slow. Okay. Fine, just provide PO number. So you don't need to create through manual process receipt. Just based on PO information, you can create the receipt automatically. Only we create a requisition through manual process. PO we created automatically. Receipt also we are going to create automatically. Almost invoice also will be creating automatically. Only requisition manual. But when you are working, that requisition also can be created automatically by using the planning methods which you have in the inventory. Okay. So system is displaying yes, this PO is existed within this with the reference of this inventory and the supplier is vision organization. Then click on find. It will display how much quantity, ordered quantity and all within this PO. So ordered quantity will be something, but how much you received, with that quantity only you have to create the receipt. Okay, click on find. Now you can see what is the ordered quantity as per our PO. 10 quantity. Okay, 10 quantity. System is very slow, like we have to see what is the issue. Fine. Now system is opening receipt header window. Not required, you can close it. Once you click on find, it will open the receipt creation window as well as on the top of it header window also, but close the receipt header window. Close receipt header window. Don't close everything. Only header window. just receipt header window. You can see here, receipt header. Just close it. Fine. Now system is showing this is information we have as per PO. Yes. So now which method we are following? Which routing method? Standard means first you have to take into staging. Staging only we call as a receiving point. So see, system also showing the same. Now destination type is receiving means staging. If you go with the process called as direct delivery, here destination it will be showing directly. That's all. Inventory. Now as per PO ordered quantity is 10. How much you received? 10 means you can enable the checkbox and you can save it. Only 5 means you can update to 5, then you can save it. Very simple. Think like we received 10 quantity into staging. Just enable the checkbox and save it. System will create the receipt. Okay. Just save it. Just enable and save it. That's all. So receipt is created. If you just enable and save, I just enabled by just without changing any quantity. Otherwise, I received only 2 quantity. Just update to 2, enable and save it. That's all. Now, if you want to see the receipt number, now click on this header. Receipt header window will be open there. You can see the receipt number. Click on header tab. Earlier, whatever the form we closed, that form only will open. Just click on header. So what is the receipt number? 1. In the receiving options, by default system is taking 1. We didn't change it. The starting receipt number would be 1 only, right? The same we can see here. Done. Now okay. Now material is where? In staging. Now we have to move from staging to inventory. When you say inventory, there should be specific sub inventory, right? Without sub inventory concept, we cannot take the material into inventory. That's the point. Without sub inventory concept, you cannot take the material into any inventory. That's how we have our application. Okay. Generally, that's how business also works mostly, right? So now just say create receiving transaction. Create receiving transaction. The purpose is to move the material. When you move the material from staging to inventory, the same action will be recording in the system by using receiving transaction. Say create receiving transaction. Now what should be the destination now? Inventory. Now it should be destination. Inventory should be destination. Again within that inventory, which sub inventory will be selecting. Anyway. Okay, navigation is receiving transactions. Okay, receiving transactions. So you want to move the material from staging to inventory. So you can find out that information based on purchase order, or you can give the receipt. Receipt. Let's go with the receipt. Give receipt number. Your tab out. Then say fine. Okay, with this receipt, if any information is there, it will be displayed. How much quantity you received, that you can see. Hence it will show receipt information. How much we have in the staging?
10.
Do you have to move all the material from staging to sub inventory or not?
Yes.
That depends. It's not mandatory also. I have in staging 10. I may move partial, right? After some time we can do that. Anyway, we have in our business area only, right? So if you want to move all, you can move, or else you can move partial. Already receipt is created for 10 anyway. So now internally we are managing. Okay. Now if I want to move only 5, I can move 5 will be left in the staging. Later any point of time, once again you can perform the receiving transaction to move that to specific sub inventory. That's it. Now let's move 10. So just see now destination type is we are moving to inventory. Enable. Whenever you have a destination type as inventory, system will ask us to select sub inventory. Okay, it will ask us to select. So simply just you select enable the checkbox, the line. Destination type is inventory. Now you have to select sub inventory. So just scroll little right. Okay, here you have to select the sub inventory name. Click on LOV. We have only one sub inventory, system is selected. If you have multiple, it will list out, you can select respective. Then just say save. Save it. Just enable, scroll little right and select sub inventory. Done. So now if you go to inventory, you can find the on hand availability. Means you can go and check in the inventory how much stock we have within the inventory, because we received, right? That should be there as a part of inventory. Let's go and see in inventory also. Say check on hand quantity. On hand quantity. On hand quantity means how much stock is available, how much quantity of stock available in the inventory. Check on hand quantity in inventory. Check on hand quantity. So say check on hand quantity or else on hand available quantity, anything. Switch to inventory. So the navigation is on hand availability, on hand quantity. On hand availability, on hand quantity. Okay, why we are taking this navigation? We received 10, we just routed to specific sub inventory which is part of inventory. Now we are going to see whether the same quantity is updated in the inventory or not. Inventory is showing the same result or not, we are going to see. Okay, on hand quantity, on hand availability, on hand quantity. Okay, just double click. So today's system is very slow. I think internet connection is very weak today. No quantity, only the quantity and all we can maintain within the actual inventory. Okay, this will see tomorrow. System performance is very bad today. Okay, seems to there is some internet issues here. Okay, we'll connect tomorrow. Tomorrow what we'll do is tomorrow session we'll check that on hand quantity availability, then we'll create the invoice by matching with the by following the three-way matching, right? And we'll make the payment, then we can understand that is a process. Again we'll be testing P2P cycle where we have a scenario, right? We'll create one more requisition with the more than 1 lakh. It has to be routed to his manager. Manager has to approve, then only this person can take it forward. That also will be testing, and there are many other concepts to test from the purchasing also for basic knowledge. That also everything will be testing. Okay, we'll see in the next session. Okay, thank you.